Alrighty. It looks like we are live for a special episode of the Rice Crypto Show. And joining me today is Bitcoin Ben for a special episode of the Uncle Ben and Rice Show. And we're going to get this thing started for you here just momentarily. God, I love this program, man. It's so fun. Welcome to the show, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you guys tuning in for this special live stream. As you see, I am joined by YouTube's most hated, Mr. Bitcoin Ben.
Yeah, apparently not just YouTube. It's also freaking Twitter.
Social media in general, man. It's like it's starting to crack down. I told people they need to start backing up files and be smart so that they can, because I think that there's going to be somewhat of a purge, and I don't know who will be on those lists and who may or may not get hit, but it's better safe than sorry.
I think it's, and I actually put out a tweet on Twitter for this live. Oh, if you're on Twitter, you click that will take you to his YouTube channel. Let's actually get Rice's numbers up here.
Appreciate it.
The Illuminati.
I mean, I've been dealing with the dude since, my first interview was Adam Kokesh, and he was way on the radar years ago when I started my channel. So, I kind of started off being censored and shadow banned, but
you helped me hook up with him and do an in. I used to listen to him.
I wanted you two to talk. It was an important conversation.
When he, the first time I ever got exposed to him was on XM satellite radio. He was on a libertarian show. And I fell in love with the dude. Because he was at an event, and this muscle-bound, like ex-military dude, like walked up on him and was like giving him shit about, military and all that. And Adam's like, brother, I am ex-military.
Right.
He was like,
well, for him, when you're a Marine, you're always a Marine for life. So
yeah. And that's the issue that the dude had. And Adam, like, just using logic, like fucking hook this emotional jujitsu and like flip this fucking dude around with logic.
Nice.
Where at the end of it, the dude was like in love with Adam. Initially, he wanted to kill him. And then when it was over, the dude's like, no, you're my people, and I'm like, that's a dude that's got a sharp argument.
Yeah, he's a smart dude. It's crazy how, and speaking of censorship and all that, the last video that we did together was demonetized. I put in a request for them to review it, and they still said it was not eligible for monetization. I wonder what we said that would have pissed off YouTube.
Well, I think it's not what we said; it's who.
Oh, we were kind of blatant.
Yeah, we're up against a group that are okay with millions of people dying if it moves their agenda forward. So
yeah,
squashing a few YouTube voices, that's nothing. You know, I mean, we're up against the progressive movement, and people really need to name it. They need to acknowledge that it's the progressive movement. It's why uh, President Obama said he's a proud progressive. It's why Mr. Freaking Mitt Romney said, yes, I am a progressive. Republican or a Democrat, the cancer that is killing freedom is the progressive movement. It's what we're all up against. We just don't realize that it has a name, and it has had a name for 125 years.
and they're vocal about it. I mean, everything is right in front of you. It's just most people just don't see what's in front of them. Unfortunately, it's very sad. But when you start waking up, you start seeing these things, and then we can make other people aware, and hopefully it'll cause some sort of a chain reaction. And that's the idea, at least.
The thing that people need to get through their head is this idea of a greater good. There is no such thing as a greater good. Number one, what's the definition of greater? Is it 100 people? Is it 1 million people? Is it, as the Georgia Guidestones say?
Right. It's not defined. It's open-ended.
500 million people. And then what's good? What's the definition of good? It's the progressive way to actually take language and use generic relative terms so that there is no actual definition to anything they say. It's how you lie without lying.
Right.
You know, it's if your wife's like, have you ever cheated on me and had sex with someone else? And you go, well, what is your definition of is?
Of is?
You know, that's exactly what Bill Clinton said.
Yeah, no, I know. Break down the language. I mean, it's a little bit crazy, man. I mean, it's I don't know. I've been looking into the whole language and law thing, and it's definitely not a really cool thing, and it's meant to be confusing. Real quick, I want to just shout out. We got Nana in the house, Randy, Bill C, Crypto, Chris Card, JS Gar. I appreciate everybody tuning in. Lorraine Weymouth, and then we got Satoshi Sean in the house saying, "Sup, brothers? Sup, Satoshi Sean." I do want to remind people too to check out my Patreon channel. I'm going to be starting to do a lot more content on there, considering what's happening on YouTube. So I'm going to probably be minimizing some of the videos in the future. So I would encourage people to join my Patreon channel. I got a couple different levels, to minimum of $5 to join. I'm going to be doing monthly giveaways starting this month. Something that you kind of did back in the day, Ben. Going to give away an ounce of silver and $10 in Litecoin to two different patrons.
Reminds me, I had a drawing last month, and with all the stuff going on, I never did the drawing.
Oh, wow.
I actually have to do a drawing, and I got 10 ounces of silver I got to give away.
Oh, that's nice.
A friggin' Patreon member. And with all the traveling, I totally forgot about it, but don't worry, guys. I will be doing that on Patreon. Probably, maybe I'll do it on Friday night or whenever I hit Texas.
Cool. another thing too, and I'll try to hook you up with these guys. I partnered up with Money Metals Exchange, and I got it down on the bottom there. So you can get a free ½ ounce of silver if you're a first-time buyer. You go to moneymetals.com and you use the promo code RICE. You'll get a free ½ ounce of silver, and it's another way to support the channel. And with the price dip, cool. I think it's a really good opportunity for people, especially because a lot of people are saying that physical silver is starting to run out in their areas, like the stores that would sell them, the precious metal shops or the coin shops are starting to run out of supply. And so people are starting to look at reputable online dealers, and these guys have been around for quite some time, very reputable. Actually, their office is based in the same state here in North Carolina, so it's pretty cool.
Awesome.
And also,
and I'd like to actually make an announcement that while I'm on hiatus, maybe legally in an arm wrestling match with YouTube here, that if Rice will have me, there's like 6 channels that I'm going to go on weekly. And I'm just going to hop on. We're going to chit chat. We're going to talk about whatever the pluck we want to talk about. And that's how I'm going to infiltrate the enemy and actually try and get some of the good YouTubers' numbers up and help them like grow their Patreon, because we're at war, people.
Yeah.
If you're leisurely watching this video and you're like, boy, that poor Bitcoin Ben, let me get some popcorn here. That poor guy, hey, they came for me and you ate popcorn. When they come for you,
I thought I had the thing saved, that quote. I hate trying to butcher that quote. It's a World War II.
What I mean.
World War II quote, I think, is what it was.
It's exactly what Trump says. Now, like Trump or hate Trump, Trump's the only thing in the way right now of a full Marxist revolution breaking out on America. You may hate Trump for any reason, but Trump's the only side flying even a minimal amount of a freedom flag.
Yeah.
Right? When you're on a ship and it's sinking and you got somebody with a halfway decent sized fucking pump, you don't walk over and go, hey, are you morally pure? Because if you're not, I don't want you to turn on this pump. I want the ship to fucking sink. No. Love Trump or hate Trump. Trump's the only. If they take out Trump, next thing you know, they take out the Second Amendment. They take out the second
everything. First Amendment, that's not even just like your right to freedom of speech, your right to freedom of press, but it's also your right to freedom of religion as well. So that's something that people need to take in consideration as well. And I found that
we're
quote.
Already losing.
I know
the friggin' First Amendment.
Well, and that's kind of why I've been, trying to do the videos that I've been doing with trying to wake people up to these realities, because if we stand up, there is something that we can do about it. And when it comes to your show, are you coming on my show weekly? I've already extended the invite, so you're more than welcome. I know we're not going to set a specific day, but once a week, you're definitely more than welcome, dude. And I'd love to have you on. I enjoy our conversations. And I found that quote is from Pastor Martin Niemöller. And it's a really important quote because it really is very meaningful to today, even though what they're listing for what they're going after isn't necessarily relevant. If you change the words around, it will make sense. But first they came for the socialist, and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a socialist. And then they came for the trade unionist, and I did not speak out because I was not a trade unionist. And then they came for the Jews, and I did not speak out because I was not a Jew. And then they came for me, and there was no one left to speak for me. So that's, that's kind of where we are. And I try telling people that as much as I'm not necessarily pro or against Alex Jones, that was kind of the beginning of seeing how people would react. Nobody stood up for Alex Jones. Nobody at all. They didn't care. And it was a test. And now, I thought someone like Joe Rogan going to Spotify was going to be a good move. I didn't know Spotify right off the bat was going to start censoring him. It's like there's no, we had to be supporting these decentralized platforms. That's why I keep pushing people to like LBRY. I'm using the Hive blockchain with 3Speak. BitTube. I'm going to start using BitChute soon. And there's a couple other platforms out there, but I'm trying to stay focused. And I'm a real big fan of what LBRY is doing. I like their Odyssey website, the new kind of web interface. So it's really important that we definitely, I think, stick up for those things, man. And I do want to ask you about this IMF thing, Ben, but I wanted to shout out Litecoin because today is Litecoin's 9th birthday. So
yay!
It's pretty awesome, man. I did get a chance to interview Charlie Lee a couple months ago. So if people haven't checked that out, I would encourage them to check it out. But it was October the 13th in 2011 that Litecoin, the first Genesis block was created and it was born. So, and I know you're a big Litecoin fan, so I had to throw in that mention.
Well, thank you, brother. I appreciate that. Yeah, as much as I love cryptos, and I do, and they're a huge part of this movement, we are at the precipice, and we've been at several precipices for for at least 100 years. And every time we've rolled it back a foot. And then over the next 15 years, it moves 2 feet. Then we roll it back a foot. Then it moves 2 feet. There's a reason that they call themselves progressive, because they don't wear a watch.
Very patient.
Yeah, they're very patient. And the plan, the initial progressive plan, was launched out of an organization over in London called the Fabian Socialist. And the Fabian Socialists are the peaceful branch of the communist movement. Now, the communist movement in itself is a branch out of the global banking Illuminati, or whatever the hell you want to call them. And the history of them, we could go on forever about the history of the Illuminati. But
I've been trying to research stuff like this, and let's maybe plan on, unless something really crazy happens between now and next week, let's plan on trying to do like a history of the Illuminati from our perspective and share our research. I think that would be kind of cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's extremely interesting when you look at the history and you know the agenda that they originated with.
Did you watch Game of Thrones?
I did not.
Okay. I would say, because if you were to watch Game of Thrones, and to me, the biggest villain in the series wasn't what people would have suspected as being the biggest villain. There was a bank. It was kind of like the central bank of the world. I think it was called the Iron Bank. And it was basically the same idea to me as like your City of London, your Rothschild family, that central banking family that used to lend money to the royal families, and they would fund every side of the war.
Yeah.
And they would basically be playing the game with everybody and just controlling everybody with with money. And that's kind of there's that there is that same type of character in the Game of Thrones, and no one really puts that emphasis on it, but they're the ones who are funding the families, who are trying to give them the monetization that they need to continue remaining in control. It's crazy.
If someone wanted to make a really good movie or really good like Netflix show, they would do a movie on and just call it Red Shield and explain how 3 Jewish brothers named Red Shield about within 350 years have actually purchased the world.
Yeah.
And
now they changed their name in the course too, you know, and they changed the name of their family in the course of time. And
oh yeah, Red Shield is now Rothschild.
Yeah.
It's
I think it was 3 brothers or a father and 3 sons. I can't remember exactly how it started out.
Well, the father is who actually gave them the initial capital.
Mayor Nathan.
Yeah, something like that, where he sent 1 to Scotland, 1 to London,
1 to France, I believe.
1 to France. Yeah.
Yeah, because they were trying to get Napoleon Bonaparte in their pocket.
Yep. And
which they had them. They had little shorty in their pocket. He probably fit really good too.
Oh, absolutely.
Little Napoleon.
Because they funded it.
Yeah, they funded everybody.
And the father that sent his sons out, how he got wealthy was actually doing something that was religiously wrong, that Catholics couldn't do. They could not charge interest on loans.
It wasn't supposed to be that way. It wasn't until you seen these banking institutions that created this debt-based system that we all got to become slaves to.
Right. That's why it's called a mortgage, like a morgue.
It's a French word. It means death. Yeah.
Yeah. It means death loan.
Death loan, death deed. It's just basically signing a document that says that it's for life.
Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
It really kind of takes you down a slippery road where if you slip the wrong way, you're
in some dangerous territories.
oh, dude, I was having a conversation. This is back in high school because my grandfather,
like 100 years ago.
Yeah, at least 100 years ago. We actually took notes on like clay tablets.
And the funny thing is, people have no clue that me and you are like almost the same age.
I just look older because I've
you've had your energy sucked out of you by a succubus.
A
sex demon.
You know my ex-wife.
I don't know her specifically, but I've heard tales.
Yes, she was married to the devil, but the devil smartened up and fucking left her, and it's this. Where were we? I just lost my.
I know we were talking about the Illuminati. Then we kind of went into I don't know, and then we somehow you brought up your ex-wife. I don't know. We do this.
Anytime I think of evil, I think of
and neither one of us are even intoxicated in any way. So I get lost in conversations with you because we can go down so many different tangents.
Oh, slippery slopes.
Slippery slopes. There we are.
In high school, I remember having an argument. Now, this is prior to me really getting into the depth of researching history. I had an argument with a history teacher that at the end of it, the history teacher said, "You sound like Hitler." And I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "You sound like Hitler."
Like I have a German accent.
Yeah, I know.
That's what I would have said.
Did he stutter too? And she goes, no. You basically were quoting a Hitler book called Mein Kampf. And I'm like, never heard of it. And at that point in my life, I was maybe 15 years old. I hadn't read it. And now that I have, not saying that Hitler was a good guy.
No, that was a good book. Just like we mentioned Karl Marx's book, The Communist Manifesto. I mean, those books are definitely good books. It just in theory, but none of them were practiced the way that they were written about. They became some sort of monstrosity.
Right. Where someone goes, Mein Kampf, and oh my God, he's a Nazi.
Right.
No. When you understand that, like I said, Hitler, not a good guy, turned out bad, shit went bad. But the origins, Hitler thought he was doing right.
Yep, the perspective.
Right, the perspective.
It's crazy because, like, does Satan necessarily think that he's evil?
No, he thinks he's a fallen angel.
So it's all into perspective, and that's the crazy that's the basis of human psychology, really.
Yeah,
that's some really deep stuff there, brother.
Oh, dude, we could go down the God rabbit hole all day long, because if you look at the origins of the hatred Hitler had for Jews, if you looked at it solely from his point of view, you'd hate Jews too.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunately, when somebody has like a tragedy happen to them at a young age, they're going to sometimes, in defense of moving forward, they're going to develop some sort of prejudice or dislike or hate towards what caused that. You see that a lot of times in broken homes too, like daughters going the opposite way of who their father is, or then just following. And it's really interesting. It really is. Mein Kampf, my struggle is what that means.
Yeah. And Hitler, the only reason that Hitler really hated the Jews was because of the great marketing campaign that the communist and the socialist movement of the time had put on against the Jews.
Well, there's also, and that's another crazy rabbit hole. And I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but like Kazakhstani Jews or something, Askastani. Yeah. And what I'm gathering from that is there was the Hebrew people, and then there was these Ashkenazi Jews, and the Catholic Church, I believe, was the one that somehow, and I may be mistaken on this, but I think it was a Catholic Church way back in the day, recognized the Ashkenazi Jews as being the official Jews. And I don't necessarily know if that's the truth in history, and I'm not 100% sure on this, but I
think you're right.
And he may have been Ashkenazi, which would have been not the true Jewish people. So he may have really technically hated the true Jewish people, because it was almost as if the Ashkenazi Jewish people were there to kind of discredit the Jewish and Hebrew movement.
Now, if you want to go woo-woo,
where are we going?
The two Jewish tribes that you just talked about, have you ever watched Cliff High actually talk about the two aliens?
No, I've actually tried to get Cliff on the show. He was, but it hasn't happened, obviously. But maybe you can help make that happen.
All right.
Or maybe he can join up for a conversation.
There's a theory out there that aliens actually brought us or created us to cultivate earth.
Are we talking about like some Inky and Enlil stuff and their father Anu, some Sumerian, Mesopotamian,
and
Babylonian stuff?
Annunaki and all
Yeah,
that.
dude, I guess that's some interesting stuff. I do follow it.
If you actually go back in Jewish history, they do actually talk about being brought here, and that the ruling tribe was the Annunaki, and the ruling tribe had a certain type of diet that they had to restrict themselves to.
Like a Jewish kind of kosher diet?
Yes, like a code. That's why true Jewish people have two refrigerators. They have one for kosher with actual like meat and how they slaughter it and all this other stuff.
Right. Not using byproducts and things. I prefer like kosher hot dogs.
Right. And the origins of that actually involve blood, because in way back history, the Jewish religion, their priest would drink blood, but the
sacrificial thing. I didn't see the blood drinking thing, but the sacrificial thing, I've heard people refer to it as like a blood cult. It's really interesting when you start looking at things because of how we're conditioned. Because it's almost, I mean, it's what I start finding, and this is the thing that really I think is one of the keys for people when they're doing this type of research, is just realize that there is really truly a duality in everything. There's a good and a bad, a positive and a negative, a yin and a yang. That's why I keep saying there's good politicians, bad politicians. There's good protesters, there's bad protesters. There's good people, there's bad people. There's good companies, there's bad companies. It's just one of those things.
I say it a little bit differently. There is good in every bad.
Good in every bad. I like that.
It's because the Antifa people think they're doing good. They don't think they're doing evil. They think they're doing good.
Now, there's some people out there that are pretty sadistic, that know that they're doing stuff that is definitely harmful to other people and just have no respect for other people's lives or other people in general. I mean, we see that sometimes with gang activities, people getting shot because of people not caring about who may be in the, maybe in the crossfires. So it's a crazy world that we're living in. That's why, I mean, when you think about some of the stuff that we're talking about, and you study some of these religions and spiritualities, we're in a very interesting time period to be alive.
Well, I think the reason we are in such an interesting period is because of the exposure to it all that we all now have. We have YouTube, we have Twitter, we have
just the internet in general.
Right. We have breaking news like less than a minute after it happens.
And we've seen all this progression and change, because when we were growing up, we had to go, when we went on to look up stuff about other countries and history, we used encyclopedias.
Yeah.
Remember those things?
Oh my God. And you better hope it was recent.
Right. Because they're pretty old, because somebody spent a lot of money on them. It's like, we're going to keep these forever.
Yep. We're going to keep these encyclopedias forever. Well, this encyclopedia says that the last car that was made was a 1979 Ford Pinto. And you're living in 1991. How relevant is that in the encyclopedia? And I think the people in the past who have predicted this, like the people that wrote in the Bible, how you could say like friggin' Notre Dame.
Yeah, there's been a lot of different prophecies and a lot of
Right.
different religions and spiritualities and just esoteric belief systems.
Yep. And it's not that they knew the future. It's they knew humans. They knew that humans would always advance and they'd make the same mistakes over and
Because
over.
we don't learn.
Because really, generationally, we don't learn the unimportant survival, or we don't learn anything that isn't survival requirement generationally.
Right.
Like we learned early, don't fuck with a bear.
Right.
But we didn't learn early, don't fuck with a redhead who's had a bad day. You know, that's generational knowledge that you got to pass on to your sons. Don't fuck with a redhead who's had a bad day. But that kid knows not to fuck with a bear. They don't know that the redhead is more dangerous than the bear because they can open doors and shit.
Right. Hell yeah. Gotta watch out for them bears, especially those octo bears.
Yeah, it's we live in we are living through revelations, even if you're not even
Phil
talking
C.
about.
He says why a ginger, and technically Ben's a ginger, just so you know.
Yeah, I actually my wife and both of my daughters and my dog are all redheads. I'm surrounded by fucking redheads.
I didn't realize your dog was a redhead.
Yeah, it's a golden retriever, and it's a damn redhead.
That's hilarious.
I'm trapped, but we're at the point of revelation, even if you're not even talking biblically, just in reality, because revelation just means the revealing of truth.
Yeah, like the word occult means hidden.
Yeah, that's it.
So it's crazy. You know, it's when you start researching this stuff. I mean, these are definitely some of my favorite topics to talk about, getting into like history and spirituality, because when you start going down some of these rabbit holes, depending on which rabbit holes you go down, or how many, you start realizing that they're all connected at some point. And it just goes deep, 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 deep. And it's
rabbit holes are just another name for perspectives of life. That's what you're going down. You aren't going down a rabbit hole, you're going down a perspective of life.
You're getting a different perspective of truth that's not being revealed publicly.
Yep. It's like someone could go down the rabbit hole of Bitcoin Ben, you know, and what happened to him when he was 12.5 years old. It was a dark, dreary night, you know, dark. And it's, but you could call that a rabbit hole. It's gaining knowledge of something that's relevant and learning the history of that event or that person or whatever it is.
Right.
And then you include that in your subconscious, and all of a sudden you have a larger picture of the world. And then you get into space or whatever, then you have a larger picture of the universe. Then you get into God, and it's 99.9% blank, because the only point of information you have is the information limited on Earth. So you're just taking a wild fucking guess what's out and out.
Blowing my mind, dude. You're blowing my mind here.
If you have a pulse and you're not fascinated by what's going on in the world,
Oh, there's something wrong with you.
You are absolutely missing.
You should be, like you mentioned, popcorn. You should be grabbing your popcorn, sitting back, and just enjoying the show.
Switch off Netflix.
Look out the window.
Just start to Google shit.
Yeah, I mean, if people aren't using their time wisely now, and if people aren't waking up to the realities of things happening, I don't know what will wake up those people. But as long as there's enough of us waking up and standing up, hopefully it'll start having that effect to slowly start waking those people up. So it's,
well, if you think about it, we're all sleeping.
I love this comment.
Red-headed rabbit hole. Oh, I got a great joke.
It's dangerous. That's flirting with disaster.
Yes, it is. YouTube would definitely demonetize this.
Hey, how's the tour going?
Oh, it's going great. I'm actually in Texas this Saturday, and you and I, prior to jumping on, we actually talked about like New Jersey and Florida. I'll be in Florida next weekend, not this coming weekend because I'll be in Texas, but the weekend after, which is the 23rd, I think.
Yeah, I can do a quick screen share too, so I can show you
www.bitcoinben.io.
What's going on here? There we are. Make sure I got it set up.
Chubby guy in blue.
And we'll go here to the tour. Is it right there?
Yep.
Doesn't take you to a link here. Let's see where we're at.
Right up on top where it says meet Bitcoin Ben.
Okay.
Yep, right there.
Sweet. My internet's being really crazy weird. Okay, so here we are. So how was Vegas? That was last weekend, this past Saturday,
Vegas
right?
Was awesome. There were a great group of libertarian crypto-minded people there. Litecoin Lisa was there.
The float crew is out there, Kingsley and Aaron. Did they help you with the GOAT facility?
Yeah, and everything went great. I think everybody. And this Saturday at the Wild Ass Hay Barn in Kerrville, Texas. If you ain't been to the Wild Ass Hay Barn, wow, it's a venue that you will never forget.
Texas doesn't pay, man.
They do everything.
Yeah, it's cool.
And the guy who owns this place is like 145 years old. He's outlived like 2 or 3 wives, and he broke his leg a while back. 2 days later, he's loading concrete into the back of his truck.
Whoa.
No, he had a heart attack. That's what it was. He had a heart attack. 2 days later, he's loading concrete bags into the back of his truck. That's America.
That is.
You know, it's the never give up attitude that I love about America and Americans. Because it ain't Americans, damn it.
It's Americans. America. So you got 4 more dates, it looks like. This Saturday, the 17th in Kerrville at the Wild Ass Hay Barn. And then the Saturday, the 24th was the one you mentioned that you'll be in the Tampa Bay area. And that's
at Uncle Fat Tavern.
My friend Stanley's out that way. I had to get him to come out and meet you.
Oh, yeah. Anybody close. You haven't lived until you have went to a Bitcoin Ben meetup and drank some beer and talked cryptos with just a gaggle.
Fun times.
Hundreds of people.
I love just the gathering of crypto people, because here in Winston-Salem, there's not that many people. So, I mean, I've tried doing some meetups, and it just then we've had all the stuff happening with places being shut down because of restrictions. I've got a Democratic governor.
Did you say Salem?
Winston-Salem.
Do you know the history of the word Salem?
I mean, I know it connects back to Jerusalem, but I'm not sure, and it means
We'll like
something
to talk
like
about that sometime.
peace or something like that. But there's also some interesting stuff if you look at towns across the United States that have the word Salem in it. It actually forms kind of a line, and I think it forms a line going to Jerusalem, which is oddly weird. So,
and there's some wicked things to do with Salem.
And Paulie P's out right outside of Winston-Salem. He lives in Lexington.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Look up a movie called Salem's Lot. If you've never seen it, it's an old black and white vampire movie.
Okay.
It is badass. I sorry, squirrel, rabbit hole.
It's cool. It's cool. And now to kind of finalize things on a tour thing, man. I'm going to do my best to make it out to the New Jersey show. So,
Yeah.
And I'll keep letting people know. I mean, obviously you'll be on here next week and we could talk more about the other shows. I got about another 20 minutes or so in me. I don't know if there's anything that you wanted to cover.
I have to go upstairs and eat lasagna. So
I love me some lasagna.
I'll do. My wife makes the best lasagna. She once asked me, is there anything I can add to the lasagna to make it any better? And I said calories. So she adds like cheese, like extra, and it has that crust on it of that not black cheese, but where it's just crusted brown. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. You're making me hungry now.
It's like, and then when you get into it, it's all gooey and you got some kind of hanging down, you're burning your neck and you don't care because you're just enjoying the goodness that you're shoving in your mouth.
Right.
That's why I'm so fat. Because, and I don't mind being fat. See, I'll tell you why. I'm doing it for the people that carry my casket.
You're such a thoughtful person.
I'm a giver.
You are.
I want those people to be in good shape. And to carry my fat ass from the funeral home and throw me into the ground, they're going to have to work out. They're going to have to get on like a regiment.
Well, they might just get a machine. They might just be smart and work smart, not hard.
Oh, no. See, I'm smarter.
Pull you with a truck.
I had, that would be funny, like a flatbed or something.
We'll get to a tour across the
country. I can definitely see that. But no, I want them to struggle. That's why the coffin that I get, it's going to be the heaviest something they make. I mean, I'm going to want like shit like put in there with me, like bricks, you know, and like everyone who shows up for the funeral, they put a brick inside of my casket. So that my son or my nephews, my grandkids, they got to struggle to carry the old man.
Oh, it got even deeper. Look,
red-headed lasagna eating vampires down rabbit holes.
It's hardcore.
Wow,
nothing can top that.
That's YouTube's probably going to keep this one up just so they've got evidence that we legitimately are crazy.
We've been kind of good though this time. I don't think we didn't say anything too derogatory, especially towards YouTube like we did last week.
It isn't about being derogatory towards YouTube. It's about being accurate towards the agenda.
Yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. Well, dude, I really
every show you do that I've watched, you're dropping truth on every episode. And when they can't let someone like you get traction, they can't.
No, I've kind of realized that. I think that yeah, but I mean eventually the dam's gonna break. So I mean I'm being patient, and
Yeah.
I appreciate the subscribers I have, because the interaction that I have for my small channel is, you know, is a lot more than some of the bigger channels out there, where it's more of a numbers game for them. I really do truly have quality over quantity, and I'm so appreciative of that. I'd much rather have what I have now than just a bunch of numbers and not have the connection that I have with the awesome people that are subscribed and checking out the videos, which I super appreciate.
Please like and subscribe. Hang on, where's that? That one. Like and subscribe up in your left-hand corner.
Wherever it's at, just make sure you subscribe. That would be greatly appreciated.
Because every week I'm going to be on here, and we're going to solve the world problems, whether it's red-headed rabbit holes or why was Hitler not loved by his grandparents enough.
Such a sad story.
Well,
imagine if we can go back in time and have a little happy Hitler boy, and how that would have changed history.
Think about this. What if Hitler wouldn't have killed himself? And maybe he wound up in, I don't know, South America somewhere.
Dude, the last thing I'll say, and because I'm originally from the Northern Virginia area, which is the DC metropolitan area, they said that eventually he possibly moved to Bethesda, Maryland, which is like a naval area. There's some pictures of a possible feed off. It's interesting. I mean, apparently everybody went down to Argentina for quite some time.
Yes.
And then after a certain point, you know, I think some of them started like leaving the Argentina area, because it wasn't exactly a place that some people may want to stay at for the remainder of their life. I don't know. I mean, it's all speculation. It's almost like Elvis and Michael Jackson and Princess Diana all being alive, hanging out somewhere together, and with JFK Jr.
I'll tell you what, they'd have good music. Jimi Hendrix is there.
Jimi Hendrix. Sweet, dude. Well, I really enjoyed it, man. I want to let you get to your lasagna.
Yes, appreciate it, brother.
Yeah. Now I was like, my stomach is starting to rumble too, and I think I need to get some to eat. I had a long day myself, so we'll talk and we'll figure out what we're going to do for next week, man. But as always, I really appreciate your time, and I've got links down below for your website, for your Twitter and your Facebook, so people can check that out, and my Patreon. Hint. So make sure you guys are checking out my Patreon channel, and also take advantage of that free ½ ounce of silver with Money Metals Exchange. So, Mr. Ben, I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast. As always, I encourage everyone to be the change by practicing change, and I love you all.